As I brief you this morning, I'm joined today by the special agent in charge of this area, Rick Ramirez, and also Troy Walker, who's the assistant special agent in charge. This case is a multi-jurisdictional case. It started with finding the body of Jahala Watson in Sumter County as a result of her being murdered on June the 20th, 1993. So the Sumter County Sheriff's Office began this case. They immediately notified the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and as you'll see in a few minutes, as I unfold the details, you'll find that once we determined that the identity, which was Jahala Watson, the case obviously involved Polk County. So that's when our detectives assisted FDLE and the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Because it crossed multi-jurisdictional lines, we ultimately had the statewide prosecutor involved in it, as well as the state attorney's office from this circuit, our 10th Judicial Circuit. We all work very well together on different cases throughout the years, and this is just one more example where we've done that. But let me go through the circumstances with you, and then I'll give you some comments at the end of that. Sunday, June the 20th, 1993, Jahala Watson was killed, and that was Father's Day. But what we knew at the time was she was 39 years old, and she was pregnant with a 7.5-month-old child, Skylar Watson. So she's pregnant, 7.5 months. She's a month and a half from a full-term delivery. And at that time, her son, who went by the name Shane Watson, lived with her. She was everything to him. She provided housing, she provided car, she provided food, shelter. Everything Shane had in life was because of his mother. But as it's described to our detectives, they argued about everything. They had a pretty vicious argument on the 19th, which was Saturday, the 19th of June. And then again on Sunday, there was a very nasty argument in the house. On that particular occasion, there was a friend that was in the house and witnessed this. This was a very loud argument, and finally Shane turned to his friend and said, "You get out of the house." And he used some rougher language than that. So the friend was outside, and he hears all this terrible arguing going on inside, and 4 or 5 minutes later, everything goes silent. And Jahala Watson is never heard from or seen from that moment. Well, there's only one person in the house with Jahala Watson, and that's her son, Shane Watson. So everything goes quiet. The friend says about 10 minutes later, Shane comes out of the residence. It appears that he's taken a shower, and he's got on a different set of clothes than he was wearing whenever the argument occurred. So there were calls to Jahala all through the day. Where's Jahala? No one knows. There was calls to Shane. Let me talk to your mama. Was she sleeping? No one has seen Jahala at all on Sunday after the argument and the friend walks out of the front door. On Monday, Shane didn't go to work. Still no Jahala. Friends actually saw Jahala's vehicle at the Walmart on South Florida Avenue. That Walmart now is a Staples store. It's up around Highland and South Florida Avenue, but the old Walmart on South Florida Avenue in Lakeland, and they told him where the car was. He didn't go pick up the car. He didn't tell anyone that the car was there. On Tuesday, Shane did not go to work. Late in the afternoon on Tuesday, Jahala's body was found alongside State Road 471 inside of Sumter County. For those of you who are not familiar, 471 runs off of US 98 north of Lakeland, and it's a corridor that many people use to traverse up toward the I-75 area. The body was discovered by a truck driver. Interestingly enough, as this discovery unfolded, She was found beside the road about a half a mile from her brother's house, Frankie Knight. Well, Frankie Knight was in state prison at the time. So what we suspect is that Shane was going to bury the body on Frankie's property because, after all, the house is empty, no one's there, and Frankie's in state prison. Well, we know that a vehicle pulled up and saw people at the residence and then backed up. The people at the residence testified that they saw something that appeared to be a car, but of course the car did not come down into the driveway. This is out in the woods, and left. So our suspicions are at that time that Shane's going to bury Jahala there, and it's like, oh, well, I can't do that. So anyway, that's subsequent to all of that is when she's found on 471. The news reports came out that particular evening, and it was first reported that it appeared to be a black female. Shane told his father that night that he thought that the body that was found was his mother, even though the news reports reported her as a black female and the body had not been identified. Mildred Baker, unbeknownst to her that her daughter had been found earlier in the afternoon, finally called the sheriff's office in Polk County here and said, look, I needed to report my daughter missing. We haven't seen her since Sunday. It's now Tuesday night. During this process, Mildred called her grandson and said, what's your mama's tag number on the car? So when I report Jahala and her vehicle missing, I can tell them what it is. Shane never let on that he knew where the vehicle was. He just provided the information to his grandmother, and ultimately the vehicle was reported stolen, or reported along with Jahala, who was missing. Now let's forward to Wednesday. On Wednesday, June the 23rd, 1993, Shane told a witness that the body found in Sumter County was thought by the police to be his mother. But once again, the body had not been identified, and no law enforcement agency had talked to him or anyone in his family. Since 1993, Shane has been questioned many times. Since 1993, Shane changed his last name from Watson to Knight, which was his mother's maiden name. Over the years, Shane has always come in to talk to the detectives and has, at bits and pieces, given some very incriminating statements to veteran detectives. I can tell you right now that one of the reasons that this case came to a successful conclusion was because of Detective Larry Ashley from the Sheriff's Office and Sandy Noblet, Special Agent for FDLE, who has spent a lifetime investigating homicides. These two gentlemen are simply the best there are in the business. They meticulously put this circumstantial case together where, when you read the entirety, it clearly indicates that no one else had the opportunity to commit this murder other than Shane Watson / Shane Knight. When asked by the detectives if he believed what happened to Jahala happened in the house, Shane said yes, he believed it happened in the house. On other occasions, when asked if he killed his mother, Shane said, I want to say no, but I might have. It all points to me. It looks to me like I done it. Now, this is a series of statements that he said over the period of a conversation or selective conversations that he had with our detectives. We at one time presented all the evidence to Shane himself and said, well, what do you make of this? He said, well, if I saw all of this evidence, I would put me in the electric chair. And that was his quote. During 2011, while being interviewed by FDLE and our sheriff's office detectives, Shane made the statement that I've made peace with the Lord. One more very incriminating statement. Now, as the state attorney's office homicide prosecutors looked at the case, along with Nick from the statewide prosecutors, along with our detectives, we've put together an ironclad circumstantial case. And here's what we know. Shane was 19 at the time. His mother was 39. There was this loud argument in the house. Shane ordered his friend out, and the argument continued. Jahala went quiet and was never heard from again. The autopsy showed that she was stabbed in the neck, and she bled to death from that stab wound. So at 19, when his mother was 39, carrying his baby brother, Skylar, Shane stabbed his mother in the neck, killing her. You advance 19 years, now Shane's 39, and he's being charged with the murder of his mother. This case only could have been completed by veteran detectives that took a lot of time putting a significant case together against the suspect. This was one of our efforts along the way where our victim actually appeared on this playing card. We give cards out in the jail of victims of crimes to try to gather information against the person who did this. Well, in fact, we were hoping that more witnesses would come forward. We were hoping that Shane shared his deep, dark secret that he murdered his mother and his baby brother, but he kept that to himself and does to this day, except for his guilty statements that he made all along. With that, I want to turn the podium over to FDLE, and they said, well, they'd let me do the talking, but I certainly offer Special Agent the opportunity to make any statements that he wishes, and or if you have any questions after that.
Thank you, Sheriff. The only thing I like to add is that there's two components to the success. There's two components to the success of this investigation, and one is tenacity. We never quit. We never stopped asking the questions. We never stopped searching, and that is again the subject matter experts of our two, the agent and the detective, and also the relationship that we have with the sheriff's office. That's important because we're all after the same mission. One is to conduct a good criminal investigation, to find the murder, and most important, to put closure so that the family can rest in peace as well. So I want to thank the sheriff for the cooperation, and the Sumter County Sheriff's Office as well for participating in this investigation. Thank you.